we were hearing rumors that the strike would happen before the election. The election is tomorrow. Do you still believe that it could happen before the election, or do you think that was just kind of noise? And do you think the election plays into the calculation for Iran?
I regard that as a rumor. Most rumors don't amount to anything. It may prove that it was more than a rumor. We'll see. It certainly could happen before the election. One thing is I don't know why the Iranians would do it in this case. Maybe just to annoy or play with the Americans. They might, just as they released the hostages back in, I guess it was 1980, or maybe it was actually 1981. I think it was right out when Reagan was inaugurated in January 1981. On that very day, they released the hostages. So sometimes they have done this in the past. They've timed their actions, synchronized them with events in the U.S. So it's possible. I mean, it could happen tonight or tomorrow. They may make a point of it. They have yesterday they were actually celebrating the anniversary of the takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. I believe it was yesterday, or maybe it was the day before. And they have an interesting name for it. I think it's called like the Day Against U.S. Arrogance. That's not exactly it, but that's basically the idea.
Yeah, I've heard that. Something about U.S. arrogance.
Yeah, right. So they might do it, just sort of like to poke a finger in the eye of the Americans. They might do it tomorrow. We'll see.
Right. Well, what's interesting as well is I believe the Ayatollah mentioned the United States along with Israel as the enemy that will deliver a devastating blow to the U.S. and Israel. Is that true? That's what you heard as well?
I don't know that he said he was going to deal a devastating blow against the U.S. as well as Israel, but they understand that the U.S. was involved.
Right.
So there is a possibility that there could be U.S. targets, but I don't think they've specified that yet. I haven't heard.
Right. I mean, that's what concerns me as well, is that we do have all these military bases throughout the region that are sitting ducks. Right. We have 2 THAAD systems, each with 100 American troops operating them in Israel. These could be potential valid targets, especially if these air bases were aiding in the attack on Iran earlier. So, and I'm just wondering if Iran is confident enough after they saw what Israel tried to do, and that Iran came out relatively unscathed, that they think that maybe we can just take it on. We can, the Americans aren't going to be able to handle it either. So
maybe I think Iran is experiencing growing confidence. Like they thought that they could handle the Israelis and the Americans. They had been preparing for this for a long time. But there's always a question in your mind, right? Maybe they're going to crush us. They're so much bigger. They're so much powerful. They've crushed so many countries in the past. And I think when actually the dust settled and there was really very little dust, they saw, hey, no, they couldn't do much. They were even stronger than we thought, and say, okay, let's go for it. Let's deliver a knockout blow or something. There's a possibility that they're thinking that way.
Right. I mean, we've talked about this before, is that if Israel has the capability, which, it does have Jerichos, it does have nuclear warheads, that, when its back is up against the wall, they may need to escalate immediately. They tried to do this attack, the SEAD, suppression of air defense. It just didn't work. They weren't able to suppress Iranian air defense. So they don't really have, I feel like, that many options left, unless they just go nuclear. And perhaps Iran is just thinking about that. And so this next attack, they think that, okay, we got to go real hard, because if we do again, Israel might just go nuclear right away. Do you think that's part of the calculation?
I don't know. I mean, they have to be thinking about the Samson option. They understand that that's in the background there. That's something that Israel could always choose to exercise. Therefore, I think in light of that, Iranian leaders recently have been making some statements about their nuclear program, and they're suggesting that they should reconsider the ban on the development of nuclear weapons.
Right. I've been hearing that as well.
Right.
Do you think that I mean, they probably have already started it and maybe are very close, and now they're letting it seep out? Because it doesn't make sense to make some statements that say that they're reconsidering it. Um,
Well, well, who knows? It may be that they're not really have no intention of starting a nuclear weapons program, but they decide, well, at least we'll say this, and that will make our adversaries think twice. Who knows? But they can't. I don't think they're actually, started down the road of developing a nuclear weapon because their nuclear power program is very carefully monitored. And if there was like a diversion of nuclear materials that could be used for weapons development, that would have been detected already. So I think it's clear that they have not made that decision, but they just may. That's what they're saying. It would be just again, would expose the monumental stupidity of Israeli and U.S. policy. You've been saying that you're concerned about development of nuclear weapons in Iran, for all these decades. Have been screaming about it. You got that agreement put in place, the JPOAC, which was a really extraordinarily stringent agreement, that provided oversight and really total control of nuclear materials within Iran. And the U.S. blew it up under Israeli pressure. It was
Trump
like
that
if
did
you
it,
really were
right?
concerned about it, you would have kept that. I mean, it was really excessive, but it made it absolutely impossible for them, within any a reasonable span of time to start a nuclear weapons program. But it was really under Israeli pressure. I think as the Israelis were thinking is that, okay, no, they've been hoping to use the excuse of a nuclear weapons program in Iran to attack Iran. And when the JCPOA took that away and they didn't like it, again, it's just like Israel is always, kills the moderates, kills the peaceful solutions, the compromises, because they're always looking for war. And he said, this takes away our excuse for war. Say, okay, Israel, you got what you wished. And now, are you so sure that you really,
Want
really
this
want
war?
this war? I think they really severely miscalculated.